Hey fragrance lovers and enthusiasts, welcome back. It's Benjamin here at the Centaur Fragrance Channel, coming back at you with another fragrance review. Today we're going to be talking about She from House of Matriarch. This is a very interesting fragrance, and I need to tell you all about this one. First off, I have to admit that I was stooped. I was confuzzled, I was confused again with this fragrance. If you get into niche fragrances, you smell interesting things. You come across interesting notes, you might have never smelled them before. You might go, wow, that's something different, and you have no idea what's going on. What I always encourage you to do is go and actually Google what the notes are. Go to the official website if you can. Go to the original source and figure out what's going on in this fragrance. Figure out what the notes are. I want to read you the notes to this fragrance to give you an idea of what a niche fragrance can be and what complex notes and what little mad wizardry can go into a fragrance. So stick with me. I'm going to read you this real quick. We got Lemon Blossom Accord, 1970s vintage Zanzibari lemongrass, natural white floral melange of vanilla sugar, beeswax, black copal, gaiac, bergamot, lemon verbena, smoked teas, broom, agarwood, tolu, balsam, lactones, and ambrette. Very complex fragrance. If you're not familiar with broom, it's a certain type of floral, it's a certain type of plant. You definitely Google that. If you're unfamiliar with gaiac wood, it also goes by the name of Palo Santo, a very sour, interesting, airy kind of incense. And this interesting Zanzibari lemongrass. I'd never seen lemongrass from Zanzibar. Very interesting ingredients. I don't get a lot of the oud particularly. It might be a little bit more of the plantation, a little bit more of the farmed, maybe some people might say more responsible type of oud. It's very interesting. It's definitely not a big player in this fragrance. Lactones, definitely look into those. Another ingredient completely unusual to you if you're just familiar with designer fragrances. This is the world of niche. This is what niche can do. On my skin, I do have some sprayed here. This is going to smell more or less like a very interesting lemon fragrance. It has a yellow hue. It has a yellow tone to this fragrance, and that's what I get from this fragrance. It certainly does feel kind of yellow and also slightly vanillic. To me, gaiac can lean a little bit that way. Not as much as benzoin or benzoin, but it certainly has that. The incense is coming through. It's interesting that way, and there is a little bit of that vanilla sugar. So in the very, very dry down, that becomes to be a little bit more part of the fragrance, and it helps the fragrance be rounded out. But you're really getting a floral lemon yellow fragrance. That's most of what this fragrance is, and I find it so interesting. The tolu balsam is not a big player in this fragrance. Tolu balsam has a lot of character. It is a very interesting note, and it can dominate a composition. There's very little of that I detect. I love ambrette. Ambrette is more of a supporting note. It can smell musky. It can smell animalic, and it's a note that I've grown to love. But overall, again, this is going to be more of a floral lemon fragrance with very interesting notes peeking out and kind of saying hello to you every once in a while in the fragrance. So very interesting fragrance for sure. A little bit incensey, but not a scary incense, not an odd incense. And the incense really, to me, doesn't is harmoniously mixed in the composition for certain. So very interesting composition. This is natural perfumery. If you love natural fragrances and the art of natural perfumery, I think that this is certainly a fragrance that is highly recommended by me that you really do need to check out. I'm not praising this fragrance to the moon. I'm not hyping this fragrance. I actually think that to the average fragrance lover out there, to the average person on the street who just wants to smell good for 20 bucks, this fragrance is not going to smell uber unique. This stuff is well blended and it's well rounded. It does smell interesting and it does smell unique, but it doesn't smell as daring or as unusual as you might think with all these complex notes coming together. This fragrance is fairly wearable. I don't think it's exactly strange, but there are high quality, interesting, and even exotic ingredients going into this fragrance. So if you like the nuances, if you like the the little nuances that are to a fragrance, what can make a fragrance special, this is going to be for you. To the average person out there, you might just want to buy Issey Miyake Pour Homme, you know, for $20, $30 and call it a day, and you'll smell nice like a lemon. You might not think that this fragrance is that special and warrants this kind of price. If you're just a regular average, you know, somebody just wants to smell good, and I completely respect that 100%. So performance-wise, this one lasted 6 hours or so as well. For these fragrances, I don't know. Natural perfumery often smells a little bit more subdued. Natural fragrances often don't last that long, and I'm sure... you know, Christy over there, I'm sure you're doing your best, and I'm sure she is doing her best to get some good performance out of these fragrances the best she can. But if you're just using natural ingredients, you are limited in some ways. To my nose, I'm getting slightly below average projection and maybe slightly below average sillage, kind of average longevity. So overall, maybe slightly below average performance. I really do wish that this fragrance had a better presence and a bigger presence because to my nose, this is fairly wearable for a niche fragrance. It's not overtly daring, it's not overtly strange, and I do wish that it maybe jumped out a lot more, especially with the opening. I think that lots of people like citrus, and I do wish that there was more of a citrus blast off the top with this fragrance. And to make it more mass appealing, I would suggest that you up the vanilla and maybe give us a little bit more of maybe some of the I don't know, maybe some of the beeswax. Maybe make it a little bit interesting in that regard. Kind of mix it up a little bit. Anyways, it's very nice. There is some white florals to this as well, but the white florals I don't think dominate or change the composition to be strange in any way. But it is an interesting fragrance, no doubt about it. Price-wise, y'all know that, or compliment factor-wise, but let's do that before the price, of course. I did go out and wear this a couple times. This might sound feminine. It is floral, citrusy, interesting in its own way, kind of incensey. It's perfectly unisex, but I do think ladies might gravitate towards it just a tiny bit, but it's perfectly unisex. I think a guy certainly can pull it off, but it's something very, very different, something unusual. And for the compliments, I didn't really get very many compliments, even though it's a little bit more lemon-like. The lemon and the citrus really don't jump out in a big way, in the opening especially. The citrus aspects to this fragrance really don't hold on for a long time. The lemongrass is here in the fragrance, and it has more of an oily lemon presence, which does kind of make the fragrance a little bit more mass appealing. But if you're unfamiliar with lemongrass, and to the average person, you know, the lemongrass isn't particularly noticeable in the way that lemon really jumps off the skin, really projects, and it invites people. People like citrus. So I think that this fragrance does need citrus for certain. Overall, it's price-wise, that's probably the biggest killers for this brand. 50 mils for $300 for some of their fragrances are $300 plus. Very expensive juice, very high-end, very hard to reach and hard to attain for a lot of average people out there, where $80 might be the cap for a lot of people, or $150. More than $150, most people are not going to go anywhere near a fragrance that's more than $150, and $80 or less is where most people want to be, and some people even prefer to pay $20 or so for a fragrance. So this is certainly out of the range and price-wise for a lot of people. These are rare ingredients. I have no doubt that some of these ingredients are expensive. You know, some of these fragrances are rare, probably hard to source, but ambrette is very expensive, but a lot of these other notes aren't particularly expensive. I'm not too sure about the broom, as how expensive that is to get a hold of, but most of the other notes aren't particularly expensive. So again, I think that the price is kind of a problem with this brand. And also, I mean, it's a luxury brand. They're making it exclusive. They're making it kind of hard to get or hard to attain for the average person. So that might be another factor here. Exclusivity. Not everybody is going to be walking down the street wearing House of Matriarch. And you know, with buying a brand like this and buying a fragrance like this, that not only are these unusual smells, but price-wise, not the average person is probably going to want to afford or maybe even can afford a fragrance like this. Very expensive juice, very exclusive. And these are kind of my thoughts on this fragrance and this brand. Please let me know if you liked my review today. If you did like my review, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video, and tell a friend. And when you do hit the notification bell, please hit all notifications. Anyways, before I go, my friends, I wish you the very best. I hope you liked my video today. Let me know, do you like this fragrance? Does it sound interesting? Have you tried this before? If you have tried this, please let me know what you think about it below. Did I represent it well? Did I treat this fragrance well? Let me know down below in the comments section. And anyways, I'll see you next time. Wear what you love and rock what you got. And I'll see you next time, everybody. And bye.